Welcome inside the huddle in Mom's locker room of legacy, where champions bring out their playbooks to inspire, educate, and empower. Here, we equip mothers, athletes, and families with tools that go beyond the game, helping to build legacies that last a lifetime. Before we begin, please note, this program is for educational and inspirational purposes only. By watching, you acknowledge that you are participating at your own risk. The views expressed belong to our facilitators and guests and do not replace professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. M.O.M.S, its executive director, Dr. Erica Wilson, affiliates, and speakers are released from any liability connected to the content shared. Copyright IH2H. It had two happen and M.O.M.S, Mothers of Motivated Sons. All rights reserved. No portion of this broadcast may be copied, recorded, distributed, or reproduced without written permission. Stay connected with us. Follow Mothers of Motivated Sons on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Follow our community handle, Enful IH22. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates, workshops, and inspiration. Visit us at https://www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Contact us at info@mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Together, we're building legacy beyond the game. Now, let's get ready, because the huddle starts here, and champions are made in this locker room of legacy. Let's welcome our Executive Director, Dr. Erica Wilson, and champions.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here live on this Thursday night in Mom's Locker Room of Legacy. Let me tell you, we are ready to dive into this topic. Avoid coaching from the sidelines. Your role is a parent and a supporter, not a coach. So let me go ahead and bring on the heavyweight champions in the building, Mr. First of all, himself. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Let's go.
Hey, and then we're going to bring on another heavyweight champion, Miss Naomi. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Nice to see everybody.
Hey. And then we have another heavyweight champion, Miss Ashley Cunningham. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, y'all. My face is not going to be on today, but y'all going to hear my voice.
That's all right. That's all right. Long as you made it, you in the numbers, and we're here before the people inside this locker room to tell them about this topic. This is an amazing topic on tonight. And I don't know what's going on, but as soon as I get on the phone, on the show, I get all kind of phone calls when I've been home all day, right? But it's okay. Here it is. We're going to talk about this topic on tonight. And I want to talk about, start off with a little story. I love to come with a storyline. So it was this lady. So here we go. We're going to talk about this, not just this lady, but this player as well. So it says the game clock is running. The crowd is roaring, and your heart beats just as fast as your child on the field. So they're talking about the mother and the father. But you see every move, every pass, every play, and suddenly instinct takes over. You start shouting directions, correcting mistakes, and giving pointers from the bleachers. But in that very moment, your athlete doesn't hear support. They hear pressure. What they need most is not another coach shouting from the sidelines, but a parent cheering from the heart. Oh my gosh, that touched me. When you shift from correction to connection, you allow your child to play freely, build confidence, and strengthen trust. Remember, they already have a coach. What they need is your belief. So tonight, this session reminds us that parents, that while your passion is powerful, perspective is key. We want you guys to know. Talking to myself too. Every athlete deserves a space to grow without emotional noise from the stands. By staying in your lanes, parents, as a parent and supporter, you nurture your emotional safety, resilience, and self trust, qualities that last far beyond the game, right? So we'll explore how to manage the urge to coach from the sidelines, communicate encouragement effectively, and strengthen the parent athlete relationship through support, not supervision. And hearing that tonight, guys, where so many of us parents kind of like get it wrong, because especially, I won't say just moms, but especially people that's living through their children. And if their children out there making a mistake and allowing them to make the mistake and, to learn from it, we want to tell the coach what they should be doing, or even our child overstepping our boundaries. So we want to go ahead and start with you first, Mr. First of all, because you are a coach. And I'm sure that you have experienced this quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I've experienced it oh too often in every sport. The worst one was, of course, football. Baseball is not too big on you. You just hear some screaming and stuff. But the most important thing is, like you say, for parents to have that boundary. We put our athletes in these sports and trusting that the coach is going to teach them, coach them, develop them, their skills and everything. But we have this thing where we just have to do it. And I used to always have those parents. I say, listen, if you want to coach, go get you a badge. It costs whatever the cost is, and you could come out here and coach. But you got to be careful because you'll have them who don't even know anything about the sport. I always tell them and encourage them, hey, just give an encouraging word when you're on the side. Cause I can hate when uh I'm in the game and I'm trying to tell them something and they hear their father, they hear their mother in the back, oh, you need to tighten up. That's already, like you say, putting that pressure on them
Mhm.
on the field and off the field. 'Cause they trying to do the best that they can to you. I would just advise them, wait till you get home, give encouraging words all the way from the end of the game till you
Mhm.
riding in the car. Then when you get home, you build them up to tear them down, right?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
know with my practices to alleviate that, what I used to do, I was a position coach in football. I used to work with the running backs or the defensive backs. And what we
Mhm.
started doing was roping off a section for the parents to sit in so they don't um, bother the kids. And I used to take my kids all the way on the other side of the field, way away from them. Because they'll
Yeah.
be telling them something and the kid looking back, like, hey man, focus here. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, when we release them to the world, you're not gonna always be there.
Amen.
So
So true.
that's messing them up. They looking for you to fight all their battles, and that's not reality.
Yeah, that's good right there, coach, because like you said, that was a great thing that you guys did. Put the parent had a parent section per se. Then versus two, allowing the kid, because the kid is hearing so many voices. How could they focus, right? They're trying to let the coach be the coach, but then here it is. I hear my parents screaming from the other side, and that not even only can affect them in the way of not being focused, it could affect them of their parents not even thinking that they could get the job done. So you're saying, like you say, building up to tear them down, and that is horrible to do to anybody. And
Yep.
actually, as you being an athlete and being on the other side of this, have you ever had your parents to kind of like shout from the sidelines?
So I didn't have the luxury of my parents being to almost any of my games or meets. So the answer to that is no. However, as a parent of a child who has played sports, I have caught myself in a position where I am almost coaching. And it's
Mhm.
not necessarily because I feel like I know everything. It was mainly more so I see I wanted to learn. This my son played baseball. I wanted to learn more about baseball. So when he got home and he's asking me to do these things with him, I can tell him properly, okay, this is what they told me you needed to do. But during a game, and I'm seeing that the coach is not correcting it, and you know, I'm paying all this money for the coach not to correct my child's stance. Now I'm kind of like, okay, fix it, fix it. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? If that makes sense. So, um, I am one to sit back, especially if I don't know about the sport, and let the coach do their job, because even as a coach, it is frustrating when you try to tell your athlete one thing and the parents yelling another thing, and they don't know who to listen to because they got to go home to their parent. So it can be very confusing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I totally agree, because then too the child is at home with the parents, and now I had a video and I wish I would have downloaded it. It showed this parent from the sideline, like really going in, and they actually, the ref had to remove the parent. And it's like, what are we really teaching our children when we're showing them this, right? Because the thing is, if we sign our kid up for a sport, that means they're not their parent, but we're loaning our kids to the coaches for a certain period of time. And we don't want anybody telling us how to do our job, and I feel God gives everybody a gift. So we want to make sure that we're allowing the coaches to do their job and not intervene, because now what you don't want to happen is the kid to even say, I don't even want to do this anymore. You don't even want to take that chance. But I see it happen. I was one. I don't think I tried to call a play or anything, but I did have problems. Why don't have my son in the game? I did have those type of problems, but it wasn't to the fact where I was trying to coach the team. But this video that I was watching, this guy was actually trying to coach the team. So we're talking about coaching sports, and being Naomi, you're a coach per se, right? And if you have a client and you have their parent trying to coach from the sideline, where you're trying to get them in order, get that nutrition right, and then you got this parent over here like, oh no, that's not what it is. How would you even handle that?
That's the handling part of it is a tough question, because one, you don't want to get into a tussle in front of the client. Or if I was dealing with a client with an under 18, because that would be the most kind of a feasible scenario. And then the mom or the dad is in the session with me with the client. One of the things which is easy to do at that situation is, like, I would excuse the child and be able to handle the parent. Like, if this was something you would have been able to do at home, I would encourage you to do at home. But when we have conflicting opinions, it's going to confuse the child, one. And then one of the things that we'll be teaching this child is the undermining, like, they don't know what to trust. And then they can't trust any other adult who is trusted. So they're growing this child to question any authority, and there's a bad spirit that is going to be grown in. So I want to be able to avoid a scenario where I'm going to have an active conflict situation with a parent. Now, in the field, I remember when one of the things that I was privileged to have is, which maybe it's not so much good, but my dad was a soccer player as me, but very few times he was in my games. So I don't remember having that interference from the coaches. And my dad is a huge fan of listen to who is teaching you, listen to what they're telling you. But I do see scenarios where parents want to put in, and I see that mostly in schools, where the child cannot do no wrong, they cannot be corrected by any other adult, and they don't leave the liberty for the person in charge of that event or activity or that child at that particular time to exercise the mandate that they have been given to exercise. So I do see what that can really get out of. My biggest concern in that would be what kind of it's confusing to the athlete that is on the field, because am I going to listen to my coach, or am I going to listen to my parent? What is going to cut? And then also that puts the entire team in a confusion, because now they have many voices that are coming out from the bench, and there's a coach and they have a plan. Because if a team has trusted a coach, they have a plan. They don't go to the field without a plan. And if they're going to the field without a plan, there's a time and place to handle that. And also, one of the things that I would encourage parents is, it's not the end of the world if a coach has a down game, has a plan that is not the A game that night or that day. It's not the end of the world. There's a time and place for a coach. That what was going on? Where can we support you? Is like there's a place to handle that outside the field, and not when the game is actually happening, or even the practice that is happening. There's a time and place. And I think the biggest thing that you say that really resonate with such characters is parents who are living with their children, in their children. Parents who they feel like this should have been my dream. I should be living this, but because I can't, my kid has to go the way I had to go. I had to go through it. So they're bringing their entire emotions that are conflicted into the field.
Yeah.
But there's always a time and place. The fear of missing out comes into play also. Or we're gonna lose this game, or this is gonna happen. But it's not the end of the world. I do believe there's a time and place to handle those situations that come up, because let's face it, sometimes the coaches don't have the A game. But it doesn't mean they didn't come with a plan. And
Right.
the plan that they have may not be because they have a bird's eye view of where they want to take their team.
Mhm.
So trust the plan, and if something is off, there's a time and place to handle that, and it
Ah,
leaves the team with a better cohesion, and they're able to handle things going forward.
so hearing what Naomi just said, Coach, what can you give anyone that may be listening some pointers on how to approach a coach? But before we do that, let's go ahead and bring in the Mrs. First of all, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, you guys. I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay. It's okay. We here. But we were just talking about what are some ways that parents can approach a coach.
Mm,
Okay, so what I advise them to is don't get them while they're in their element, while they're coaching. I've had several parents come to me during the game, and at the time I was offensive coordinator. And like Naomi said, you got a plan, you got a vision, right? And a parent can disrupt that. You're trying to worry about all these other things, and they trying to, hey coach, and they can come to you as nice as possible. Hey coach, can I talk to you? Coach don't want to hear that right now. Now after the game, not even halftime. Don't even talk to him at halftime. If you see him walk off to the side, let him be, because he's trying to game plan for the next half or the next quarter. What may happen. The best thing is do wait till after the game, not directly after the game. After they don't fed the kids, and the kids looking happy. Hey coach, can I? What's a good time for me to talk to you? I have a couple of issues that's concerning to me, and I just want to see you give them put the ball in their court, give them the opportunity. Now if they don't reach out to you after a certain time, then yeah, be like, "Hey, coach, man, it's been some days. I need to holler at you."
Now, what happens after a loss?
Oh, you
Now,
better leave him alone. Leave him alone. You better wait till they come back to talk on Monday or Tuesday after a loss, especially if it was a tough loss. Leave them coaches alone. Leave them alone. Just hey, coach, good game, and leave it. Even if it was a terrible game, coach, just leave him alone. I'm telling you, leave him alone.
okay, well, that's fair. That's fair. So we were discussing a couple of things about parents coaching from the sideline. We even came with, away from Naomi as well, saying Naomi is the actual coach. So if she sat down with one of these players and she was coaching the player on their nutrition, and you had this parent that be on the outside going against what she's saying, that could be very hard. And by you as a therapist, you've been a therapist and you sit down with these kids, and now you got the parents, or screaming from the sideline, or maybe you coaching a older guy and his significant other is trying to coach from the sideline too, and it's far too often where we try to walk in other people's shoes. That ain't our role. So how would you handle that?
if it's a kid, then it's my job to address the parent. And my address would just simply be, your child, this is your child. But you came to me for some suggestions. You came to me for my level of expertise. My question to you is, do you want that from me, or do you want to continue doing what you've been doing? And that's it. They're either going to say, no, no, you know what you're doing. I'm going to, I want you to do it, or they're going to feel whatever they feel and they're going to leave. I'm not one to have the back and forth conversation, and I'm not one to tell someone that they don't know their child and what they're talking about. So obviously, you decided to pay me for help. Do you want to continue paying me while you help? Because I don't mind doing free work. like paying me to do nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do that? Or do you want to go ahead and let me do what you paid me to do? If it's an adult and their spouse is, you know, playing that second ear and they trying to coach from the sidelines, then that sometimes looks a little different. And of course, it's not my place to address their spouse. It's their place to address the spouse. I would
Mm.
instead address the person. And I would talk to them about how they made the decision to come and seek some help. And do they want to seek that help through me? Or would they like to get that help through their spouse? But two people can't do it at the same time.
That's good. That's
And
good.
that, that's how I would handle that.
All right now. So Ashley, I'm coming back to you as an athlete. Have you ever witnessed any of your teammates may had parents that was coaching from the sideline? And if so, how did they tell you how it made them feel? Or were you able to tell how they felt, by their game? Maybe their game was off a little bit.
Yeah, so I think I'm not even like lying, every single program that I was a part of when it came to basketball,
Mm.
the coaches set the culture. Like, I'm the coach. Like, it is what it is. If you want your child to play for you, then you, like Mr. First of all said, you go get a team and you go coach him. So
Mm-hmm.
my coaches did not play at all. I mean, at all, when it came to parents trying to be in their ear of their child. And I think that spoke to the success that I've had in my career as a high school player all the way through college. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but there are still times where you may have had a parent who wanted to live vicariously through their child because their child reached a level that they weren't able to reach. And the pressure is there. And, after a while, it's just like, do I even really like this? Because it's not fun anymore. But after a while, some of them players, they ended up not playing at the next level, or they
Uh-huh.
did end up playing at the next level. And it was just like, this is me. I'm playing for me, not you.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's it right there. But we could hear so many different scenarios, but we know that this is happening uh far too often, and a whole lot in Little League. It is really horrible in Little League because you have some parents that's out there fighting on the field in front of these kids. They're not even out there playing. But you remember some of the coaches that were actually murdered? One was in Texas. He was actually killed on the field in front of the
Hmm.
kids.
We had several in Miami Gardens. We had at
What?
least about 3 or 4 coaches get killed during the game in front of all the kids.
Oh no.
Hmm.
See, that's
But that speaks on the lack of boundaries that we fail to put in place when we talk about youth sports. Like, the entitlement that parents feel to have access to say what they want to say, to, what I'm saying, lead from the sidelines, and, not understanding that we put our children into these spaces so that, because we trust the space. Because if my kid plays for your team, it's because I think your team is good, which means that I trust your coaching. And clearly, I'm not a coach. So I have to know the boundaries, but are the boundaries being set on the team end? Right? Are the coaches saying, you can't go past the bleachers. You can't address the coaches until after a certain time. Is this being said, or are we tiptoeing around these parents to avoid losing kids or to avoid whatever conflict? And because we're tiptoeing, because a lot of it is tiptoeing, a lot of it is you don't want the complaints, you don't want the problems. But when you tiptoe, you get the parents that they do the extra stuff. When you have boundaries, those are the parents that sit on the beaches, they don't move, they, what I'm saying, they do what they do there. They know their place. So there is a lack of boundaries when it comes to Little League on the coaches and staff end of things that should exist, so parents know not to cross the line.
yeah. I get that. But too, and that's so funny because why is it that we could go out here and act like that on a football field, but we can't pick our teacher, right?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So why is it that the football field is just so important, but you can't go into that lady's classroom or that man's classroom and tell them how to teach that class? Or you don't even have them doing it. You see, because that's not a concern. And at the end of the day, we have these kids that's out there. Some are playing because they want to play. They're playing because they want to play. And then you have some playing because their parents want them to play. And it's an enormous amount of pressure that's on these children, and now they got to carry this weight like we talked about last week. That's a heavy load to carry as a child. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know I have to go home with these people. Like Naomi said, I know I have to go home. I have to go home with them, right? And I want to make my parents proud, and that's very, very hard. So now we talk about the eating portion of it, Naomi, where now it's probably affecting the way that they're eating. They may, fall into depression where they're not wanting to eat now. There's just so many things that could come from that, right? What would you say?
Yeah, because when that conflict arises, and one of the things that I'm hearing, especially from my preteen, is, Mom, don't embarrass me. No, Mom, that will embarrass me. So when that conflict happens, when those moments that are very tense, bound happen, there's a place where the child will start resenting the parent.
Parent. Yeah.
There is a possibility that will happen. And they start questioning because they see other kids working well with the coaches. They see other parents respecting the coaches. And maybe this is just one particular parent in the team who is kind of coming in and meddling with everything. So this child is like, I don't want anything to do with my mom. I don't want anything to do with my dad. And take any opinion from their parents. And the danger to that is it doesn't just happen on what is related to that sport. It permeates into everything else about life. Whether they're preteen, whether they're teen, whether they're just going into pro level, it starts creating the distance. And then the distance, of course, it creates the stress because this child is conflicted. This is still my parent. I want them to understand me. I want them to love me. But I don't want them to be embarrassed. Social circles at that age is very important. Team spirit is extremely important. So they will start taking advice from their peers and from other people than they take from their parents. So at that point, we create the divide that we've been working against since we started these sessions, where the parent is part of the core support team for these athletes, whether they're grown athletes or they're just young athletes in the little league and they're all coming along. The parent is a key component of that because it translates to everything. And now if we also combine it with the danger where a lot of the parents who have children in the little league and maybe in the high school level, a lot of those parents, and correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Ebony, we have a lot of the parents who are coming up from the generation that is the of the parents who are coming from the tough season of parenting, and they were kind of left to parent themselves.
Yes.
Because now those parents, their parents were like, oh, we were bullied by our parents, quote unquote, and we want to let our children have their freedom. There is no those boundaries, and now it's showing up how they're parenting because they don't know what boundaries are. They don't know to be told no, so they think everybody else is going to take their voice as they take. So that affects the entire economy of the home. Food, it affects finances, it affects these children, and then they will overcompensate by buying these kids gifts. And the more they buy the gifts and the more they want to please their children, the more the dissension might also occur. So it just spirals into it's like a spiral effect of a lot of things happening, and food is in the middle of it. So that emotional roller coaster will also is a potential for emotional eating. And what are the foods that cause bring emotional eating? I'm gonna hide in my room. I'm gonna be snacking all night. If you're not snacking all night, you're on the phone all night with your friends trying to fill that void. Then what happens again? The electronics, the devices, the blue lights, that affects the circadian rhythm and how their body functions and their hormones. And now if they're in their preteens or early adulthood, their hormones are kind of getting haywire. So it's just a spiral effect of a lot of things that could come up from one misunderstanding of just a mom or a dad not being a team player in the field. And it could just spiral to a big thing that just started from one thing. So I think it's a huge concept, and especially the different. I'm seeing more the distinction of the different generations that are occurring. Where I was telling my daughter the other day, I feel like I'm becoming my own mom now because like there's that divide. I can see the divide of the generations, and I'm like, they understand things different from one
Yeah.
generation, and if we put them in a situation they have to choose their peers, then they choose us. It's gonna get out
Yes.
of hand pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I
Yeah.
what
think
ways?
the food becomes center point.
Wow,
Yeah.
that emotional eating is no joke. It
Mm-hmm.
is no joke whatsoever.
No, it's not.
So what ways, Coach, can you tell a parent if they're under the sound of your voice to be a supporter, not the coach, just be a supporter of their child, their athlete? So, what are some of the ways that you could think of that you could give some pointers to some parents if they're listening in? We can't hear you.
Hold on. You hear me now?
Yeah.
It goes back to something Miss First of all said about knowing your child. That's the most important thing. So you'll know how you'll be able to come at your child. You know when they're down. You know when they're in their happiest moments. So you address it in that way. And like I say, you want to you build them up first. Hey, I see they threw this ball and you missed it. You ain't gonna be able to catch them all, but and I don't want you to be the best, but just give me your best. You don't have to be the best player. And I got that from actually watching Deion Sanders, an interview with him, and they was
Mm,
asking him what got him into coaching. And it's kind of like how I actually say when you know the game and you know what these coaches are doing is incorrect and it has the possibility of getting your child hurt, you'll step in and say, hey, so he did that with his sons. Should do it
mm,
in Shiloh. He said the coach had the kids 10 yards apart from each other, about to run into each other so they can tackle. He said, hey, these little kids. He said, you know what? He called the coaches idiots. He said, yeah, that's what got me coaching. They was idiots. So I didn't want the kids. So he said that's what got him into coaching. But yeah, knowing your kid and know how to be away from his triggers. I
yeah,
believe, I don't know, I may be wrong. I think there are good triggers. I don't know. Is that possible, Miss
I think
First of all?
so.
I think it's good triggers. So what you can say to them to get them hyper happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a such thing as positive triggers. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And
So,
and a part of that is also remembering that some people can't support because they don't have experience with support, meaning they've never been supported, right? And so it's like we ask our parents to show up in certain kind of ways, but and I think we've said this before that it's trial and error. A lot of parents have no idea what they're doing. They're just doing this.
it don't
And
come with a
like
book.
Naomi said, all you know is you don't want to be like your parents. Like that's the goal. I don't care what nobody say. That's the goal of every person who is a parent. Like you always say, like, I'm not gonna be nothing like my mama, right? I'm not gonna be nothing like my right. That's that goal. It's like, because there was something in our little childhood mind that told us our parent didn't do something right, even though they were doing it right, and we just didn't catch it at that time. But you go into parenting thinking that, and then you just kind of test and try out all this different stuff. But
Yeah.
if your parents did not support you openly like that, it's
Hmm.
almost impossible for you to kind of mimic that behavior because you don't know what that looks like. And so a lot of parents have to be taught
Mhm.
how to support their
Uh,
children. They have to be taught how to speak encouraging words into their children. And they have to be taught to do those certain things because, like Naomi said, they were raised in a generation where some parents might have felt like I'm not doing all of that. Get up and go do it. I don't have to encourage you. You go do it. Like if I said it, do it. If they tell you to go and you should be running that ball because you need to run the ball. I don't need to tell you you did a good job. Keep it going, right? And so I've heard parents say that's your job as a kid.
mhm.
You know what I mean? I don't need to tell you to get good grades. You're supposed to get good grades. That's what you're supposed to do. And the reality is that it's not necessarily something they're supposed to do. They just supposed to go to school and try to learn the best that they can. What
They
Right.
can.
comes from that is hopefully good grades. But if we as human beings are a reward and punishment type of people. Like we need rewards
Yeah.
to continue to go, and we use punishment so that we know not to make the same mistakes. So everyone should be rewarded for be good behavior because it allows us to stay motivated to
Yeah.
continue to do it. If I'm on a diet and I get on the scale and my weight's gone down, that's a reward. And so I'm motivated to continue to eat healthy, right?
Right.
So the parents don't know, and the parents have to learn this,
Yeah.
and so as we go into roles like coaching,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if every coach realizes that that is an added responsibility. And sometimes they think that their only responsibility is to coach the kid. But it is an added responsibility to know that you are, coaching the parent in some aspects on how to be there for their child in that environment. Not as a
Right.
parent in total, but in that environment.
And see, that's why I feel moms is needed, because if you have the coaches coaching the kids, we're we have the resources for them to be able to take something home as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I feel that's why what we're doing and what we do
Of
is
course.
so much
Important.
needed, because then that
Mm-hmm.
everybody takes away something. You understand from there. Instead of the parent, then it takes away from them having to coach from the sidelines because they're
Yeah.
getting something as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to focus on what your kid is doing over there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like too, when we raise up our kids, we have to trust that we raised them the best way that we knew how, right?
Yes.
So entrust them with that coach to do what they need to do. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And I wish I could have told myself this, but hey, it had to happen. I had to go through it. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing: if we can have, well, we get the parents and they do the coaching over there with the athletes, everybody is it's a win-win situation. We're all
Yes.
getting something out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
even so, if that parent is sitting out there and don't even know the way that they, the healthy nutrition, don't even know how to protect the mind and mental illness, here it is, the do's, the don'ts. What is it that the parents is taking away from these practices, these camps? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
But
my
that's
son.
because it's only focused on one thing. They're not focusing, like you saying. You mentioned in the mental health, you mentioned in
Yeah,
the finances, you mentioned the nutrition.
yeah,
There's so many coaches that will say, you know what, we in order to be an all around player, you need all of this stuff. So hey y'all, let's put together this type of thing here. So again, like you said, that's why moms is needed because you saw the need. You got the vision. God gave you the vision that there was a need to connect or to help the entire athlete, not
yeah,
just a part of the athlete. And a
yeah,
lot of the times that's all we focus on. We focus on the part of the athlete that makes the sport go. We don't think
Right.
about the mind of the athlete, the body of the athlete, this of the athlete. And so, as you do that, the parents are informed because they get the information
yeah,
that they need, so
yeah.
this
And
is
see,
thank God for the vision.
that's it. And the thing about that too is sometimes when you present, like I've been on parks and I'm telling you, I was presenting moms like never before. And shouts out to Jasmine too, because she was there with me doing so. But the thing about it is a lot of the coaches looking at it like, oh, okay, like you just a mom, but I'm a mom of an athlete. You understand what I'm saying? And I know what it is that child need to be grounded all the way around, not just on that field, because after that sport is over, guess what? They have to still be a human being. They still have to know how to enter this real, when the real world hit them, they need to know how to introduce themselves, how to carry themselves and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting the programs into the schools, into the camps, and pitching it in a way where we can get into these camps. And we don't actually have to be there physically. It could be, we could do a Zoom call with them,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But it's just being though that is so much of the coaching from the sidelines. And heck, you talking about when a ref had to remove a parent? That's ridiculous. To remove a parent, parents, you should not even be on that sideline if you're not a team mom. You know what I'm saying? But for you to go on the field, and I even watched some videos where the parents was going after the kids. And I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And coach, I know that you see, a whole lot of it, but we're gonna get off here early, y'all, because my allergies is really getting me. But what are some of the ways, and I want to hear from us all from different perspectives because we all hold different gifts, right? I want to know what are some of the ways that we can do better as parents after a game, win or lose, right? What are some of the ways that we can do better once the game is over with? Do we immediately go to talking about the mistakes that our kids made, or do we make sure that they're good first? Start with you, Mr. First of all.
Well, you always make sure they're good. You want to worry about their mental. They if they have injuries, you have that discussion of, hey, how did you feel the day after the game? And your body hurt? Where your headspace at? Things of those things. Don't jump right into it and chastise them about the game, whether they played good or bad. But just praise them for, if you know for a fact, like I said, they did their best. That's all that matters. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, you do your best. You shouldn't be crying after no loss if you knew for a fact you did what you were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. So, Ab, coming on right on the after the game, you're on a car ride with your kids, and maybe your kid didn't have a good game that day. What would that car ride be like?
What do you need from me?
Mm,
I think that is the best question to ask, because I don't know what's going through his or her mind. I don't know how he's experiencing it. Nothing. I know what I saw. I know what I'm experiencing, and I know how I would be affected. So before I try to give what I think I'm supposed to give, let me just say, what do you need from me? And with that question, hopefully that kid will be able to express whatever that is, even if that's, I need McDonald's, right? Like, because that might be what they need in that moment. Or, it may be, to just have a conversation, or to just listen, or to just play a radio, play the radio. So, just asking that question alone, I think, does a lot.
yeah. Wow. So, Naomi, now you have been to practice with your kids, and just say your kids was playing soccer, and here it is, they missed a couple of goals. And you know that they missed a couple of goals. And maybe your kid come up to you and say, well, Mom, how did you think I did? What would that conversation be like?
I think I would piggyback on what Evan is saying. Get to know, and at that point, when it's a straightforward question with the mindset of what Evan is saying, that you want to be able to let them give what you need to address, what they need from you, and they are asking you the question. I don't know if I'm just overthinking these days because I'm a mom and I'm trying not to really jack them up. But I think one of the things I do when my kids ask me a question, which I think is what I would do at that point, is, okay, you want to know how you did. I wanna try to diffuse that question, because
Mm,
that's a very good question. I don't want to jump in and give my mind all over through, because I don't know what they're expecting to hear.
mm,
Because maybe my kids are just trying to be little lawyers or little, I don't know what. But I've learned my kids, every time they ask me a question, they really don't want my opinion. They want there's a certain validation or a certain gauge or a certain discussion they're wanting to hear. So I think also at that point, you know your child. You know what they might be wanting to hear. You know what they might wanting to know. And my biggest conflict in those situations is I don't like to lie.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell them something that is gonna pat their shoulders, and I know I don't have the conviction for what is going through. So what do I want to be able to diffuse that question first. I want to be able to bust that bubble and be able to calm them down and be able not. I may not have a direct answer at that point, but I want to ask a question or say a statement that is gonna level them, that is gonna calm them, that is gonna bring them down. And sometimes it's like, you know what? Let's go fast and eat, and then we're gonna talk about it. What is coming up, depending on what is the mood of that time and how the situation is, how many goals they missed, and also getting the pre-game. How excited were they? How not excited were they to go into the game? Because that might tell me the stakes are very high with this one. And before. So it would be a matter of kind of trying to, even if they're not letting you they're not letting you in on what they really want from your help, but they're asking you a direct question. It can be even more volatile when they're asking you the direct question, because at that point there's a particular answer that they're looking for. And if you that particular answer, it might even cause a more detrimental heartbreak. So my go-to would be, I want to diffuse the environment. I want to kind of calm it down before I ever give my honest opinion, because I also want them to have an honest opinion and have us analyze the situation like it was, but not breaking their hearts and not being able to just lie, just tell them, oh guys, you did so great, or you did so good. I don't want to break their hearts by lying or saying or giving the truth, not in a loving way. I want to be able to give them, but I want to diffuse that environment first. I want to diffuse it. I want to kind of try to burst the bubble, burst the balloon, and there's a level head. There's a level head, there's a calm, and we are a good space. I'm gauging the pre during the game, the question they're asking, how they're asking it, and just kind of trying to and praying at the same time. Because those questions, you can give the most honest answer, most polite answer, the most really, but they can still be broken. They can still tear up. So praying, I think, is a huge part of those after kind of low moments discussions, because you want to be like, you know, God, at this point is you taking my words and using them as oil for whatever they need at this moment. So I think that would be a big part of it. Just Lord, and even before the game ends, you already kind of know where. By the time we are in the last quarter of the game, you know where this game is going. At that point, you know how frustrated or how happy they will be. Start praying even before the final whistle. Start praying. Ask God, God, you're gonna help me. And especially because you know your child, you know what is likely to come up with that discussion. Please start praying before you even they come up from the truck, before they even get through the locker room and come to you, before the car start calling heaven. That would be a good one. So that would be.
I would say, like they say, pray without ceasing. Even too, when you're approaching the coach, you need to pray as well. But you know, I love that. But Ashley put a comment in here before we close. Ashley said, "I feel like you just helped me find a pain point with what you're saying, Naomi." So, Ash, could you reiterate on that and see, you know, if you want to rebuttal from Naomi?
Yeah, y'all know what my relationship is towards food. I'm a foodie and I love it. But I know I have a bad relationship with it. And some of the things that she was talking about, I'm like, okay, I do feel like I was alone at sometimes. I was that child that was in my room by myself a lot. So I'm like, maybe I was overcompensating with food. So I'm like, dang, is that what that really is? And then I'm thinking about certain triggers that happened in my life, even as an adult, that required me to emotionally eat. And I'm like, damn, Naomi, right. She done look at, I got a free session. And you know what I'm saying? Like I'm over here like I never really realized it. And again, this just goes to the importance of how deep these conversations are, because I don't think I would have even looked at that. Before she would tell me, we got to figure out why you are like this way with food. And I'm like, I don't know. I just really like the way it tastes. But now,
Listen, Ashley, y'all, is really making this a comedy show, but I'm loving how you closing this thing out, baby.
all I know how to do is be me. I'm sorry.
And Ebony, correct me. I'm coming back to you a lot because I know you have the training for the psychology part of it. But when it comes to emotional eating and food, sometimes it's not the hunger speaking. It's not the palate speaking.
Oh.
It's the DNA and the emotions that have been written. When I used to eat that food closed in my room because I was feeling alone, that's the communication it's bringing now when I'm 40-something years, when I'm 30-something years, when I'm parenting my own children. And when I don't even know what to do with my own children, go back. And I think that realization and the openness to accept, you know what, I might be going through this myself. I think it's the beginning of, because we've and I can speak for myself and probably maybe speak for some of my generation. We couple in a lot of victimhood without considering what are the things that are reality. What are the things that it doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter how it came from. I'm dealing with it now. So the accepting of the situation, I don't know where it came from. I don't. Before we can even ever, because sometimes when we delve and like, even if this is your space, sometimes dwelling on how it occurred after we've acknowledged how it occurred and dwelling on it, it just causes more pain. It just causes more retrogression. But if I come in and accept, you know what happened, Ashley, and you're like, yeah, this could be it. Now, dig into it to know, okay, this is it, yes. Okay, now what can I do? How can I spring what? Because then it will keep coming. It will keep coming. And that's where that teenage or that young athlete moments where I don't want how my family makes me feel, I'm just gonna retrieve. I'm just gonna be it. And then that's where also in terms, so food also will correlate with electronics, because now there's a lot of pop out in electronic food, because I'm watching all these videos, I'm chatting with my friends, and I'm just eating, I'm not paying attention. Earlier on, when there were no electronics, at least you were eating. You could entertain the emotions. You could entertain the taste, because now that's when you remember the taste, how it tasted. But now we are mindlessly eating, but we are connected with a second addictive piece of life, which is electronic. So we have two addictive things that are working together, and that's a very combination.
It is, yeah. And they call that escapism. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're escaping from reality. Trauma shows up in all kind of ways, and trauma is not always the kind of trauma we're thinking about. It could be not being heard by our parents, minimized and all these different things. So it occurs, and you do find yourself eating emotionally, and that becomes your response to everything that you experience. And it is a response that you can trust, number one. It's going to be that way. Like, it's a dependable response, right? Food is dependable, which is why we go to it. It's like, I know that Snicker going to be there. I know that bread going to be there. I know, what I'm saying, that rice. I know that it's going to give me the feeling that I like, and it's not going to let me down. And all these other things have let me down. So I'm not going to go to I'm not going to go to those things, right? And so, like Naomi said, it becomes the thing that we go to. And, when you finally realize it, you have to be ready to then, not, give it the attention, but not sit in the attention, kind of have a solution for it. Because if you just acknowledge, I feel this, it can sometimes take you back down into a dark space. It's like, oh man, and you feel bad again. So you got to be able to have this idea of a solution. Like, once I know the problem, how do I solve it? So I agree very much so, because if we're not careful, we can try to find ways to escape, because the reality is tough and reality don't feel good. So,
and it goes back to any kind of addict, right? And that's why I say sometimes we look down on people who may be on drugs, but You're probably addicted to like me. I love my chocolate. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like when they give you, it never gives you real satisfaction because you always want more. You see what I'm saying? And especially when you're on this emotional roller coaster, you really don't see the harm it's causing at that moment, right? And that's just like, if someone that's out there that's on, I still love the taste of food too. Okay. Well, I love the taste of sweets. And I'm gonna tell you after this, I'm gonna have me a Nestle Crunch, Naomi.
Yes.
But I'm hydrating. I'm
With your water, huh?
hydrating with my water, Naomi. Now I'm getting there. But the one thing I was telling somebody though, all jokes aside, I was telling them because they was opening up to me about some things, and I was telling them, like my weak moment is I love sweets, right? And I put them on the side of my bed for a reason. Sometimes one, yes, to eat them, yeah, but to challenge myself because it's a time where I could wake up out my sleep and I'm digging in my candy jar or my cookie jar, right? When I can get up to go tinkle or whatever, and could pass this candy, you don't have control over me. I know that it don't have that much. I know that I can stop it. I know that I can stop it. I know this. I did it before. But at the end of the day, it's only when it has that hold on you and you can't shake that. Like once you identify the problem, you admit the problem, you find, like sis said, you find a solution. And now how can we make this better? You understand? Before it cause whatever it can cause. But at the end of the day, like in the back of my mind, I was telling myself, girl, you've been eating chocolate all your life. you know, and it's like, okay. But I hear too, it's not what you eat, it's how you eat it. But we have to do a nutrition show on that.
Yes.
We're gonna get back to that. But this coaching from the sideline thing, y'all, again, we need to try and get ourselves into some camps, some schools, or even, get these parents on these workshops to come in and get this information right now, like I said, and as we always say, for while we're doing it for free, um, to get them this information because we don't want y'all to just learn about the athlete. There's a human inside that athlete. You understand that jersey or that those cleats or that cheerleader skirt or whatever it is, it got to come off. It's not on but for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So who are they the other hours of the day? What are we teaching them? Who are they? Do you know who you are?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just making your child feel like that they're just an athlete? And I think you said, how do you say it, Mr. First of all? Student, wait, how it goes? An athlete or a student?
Student athlete, and not opposed to being an athletic student.
All right, there we go. So that's something that we definitely need to get with these parents on. And before we get up out of here, y'all, we got Moms of Claus coming to a city near you. So shouts out to Walmart, McDonough, exit 218, whoop, whoop, for giving us our first grant, y'all. I'm still
Whoop,
working
whoop.
like 5, 6, 7 of them, y'all. But we got our first grant. So shouts out to you, Walmart, Willow Lane, McDonough, exit 218. Shouts out to you all. And we truly, truly thank you for pouring into our organization to help us to have the most amazing Moms of Claus. You get it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So I'm very, very excited. Still, let's push forward to see what we can get to bring in. And the goal is we can either have an event or we can go to these stores and be secret shoppers. So, not secret shoppers, what it is. When somebody's at the
Secret
ready,
Santas.
secret Santas. There you go. Thank you, sis. So we have that option. We'll talk more about it on Sunday when we have our meeting. But just know that Moms is doing things. And actually, November 2nd, we've been offered to come to. They have something like a big homecoming up here. At a big park up here, and they asked us to set up a booth.
Oh, nice.
Oh God, you have to set up a booth and come out there to speak with the parents and get the parents involved with moms. And it's still from that event that I went to before, and they was like, just bring the same setup. So that's something that you know um, I'm out here, y'all. We out
Yeah.
here.
Good work. Good work.
Yeah.
Right, and we're gonna try to do as much as we can in Atlanta, but I think I'm bringing the focus. I'll talk to y'all about that on Sunday, more so
Okay.
Florida, because it's hard. I ain't gonna say it's hard here, because whatever God have for us is for us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. I don't care where it's at, but we're gonna speak that thing. I need you guys to be praying over the weekend for our event coming up, because we want to make sure at a time like we're in now is so many people that's being affected by
Mhm.
job losses,
Mhm.
inflation, and so many other things. We know that we can't save everybody. Well, we definitely can not save some. We definitely can help
Help.
some.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
And if I can make a statement
Hmm.
to the people who are listening, we come on this cast every Monday and every Thursday to speak life into every individual that comes into here. You get to see what Moms is doing. You get to see the impact in the vision that Moms has, and if you agree with it, if you fall in line with it. If you believe in the vision that we have, give, donate, and any little bit is helpful to say that I stand with the cause. I agree with the cause. I agree with the vision. If God lays on your heart to bless in any way, shape, or form, that may not always be monetary. It may be with your own gifts. It may be with something that you're able to purchase. It may be with a talent that you have or knowledge that you have. Don't hesitate to reach out to moms to give into and to support and to continue to pour into. So we appreciate all, not just the time that you spend with us on these calls, but also the love that you give, the prayers that you give, and the financial incomes that you give to donate and continue to do so. And we just want to make sure that that we appreciate all that you're doing. And if God has laid it on your heart and you just haven't done so, do so, because it's not to us, but it's to continue to give to the athletes and the moms and the families that are connected to these athletes, so that we can continue to teach and continue to pour into with knowledge, and provide the resources free. All right. And so if we're going to support and give free, your donations definitely do assist in that space.
Ooh, ooh, amen. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm talking about. And that's the thing. No amount is too big or too small. And you can give by going to our website, www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Or you can even go through our Facebook page and hit the donate portal there. They will definitely send it over to us. But listen, we're walking the walk, and we're talking the talk, and we're walking the walk. Okay. We're really about helping the families. Again, no amount is too big, too small. Even if you want to drop off a toy or you want to drop off whatever it is, um, that you think that a family could benefit from during this Christmas season. We asked it, and we in October, yeah, we know, but we know that time flies. We're already almost at the end of the year, and it seemed like it just started. So we know how fast that will go, and we're also going to try to do some turkeys, y'all. Listen. I like to be in serving, because I know it's hard. Even if we put together 8 baskets, y'all, we can do it. I really feel like we can put 8 baskets together, and each one of us, Ashley and I is here, we're in Georgia. You guys are in Florida. Naomi, you're in Texas. We could bless a family in each state, you see, and have the impact done that way. Come together as a whole and just bless the people this holiday season. Because y'all, I'm telling y'all, we need a whole lot of prayer, a whole lot of prayer. And but as Em has said, is there anything anybody else want to say? Ashley, you want to take us on out with the comedy tonight?
Sure. Y'all, for real. Again, what we do is for our people. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people need these services. Some people can't afford it or don't even know where to look, but you can get all of it in one place. We are a one-stop shop. So what you say, Dr. Erica? Tell a mom to tell another mom to tell her homegirl, sister, cousin, auntie, uncle them who got a side piece, because we accept everybody. Just don't bring the drama. So come on inside the locker room and come get these nuggets.
All right, all right. The Jews are dropped inside mom's locker room. They want to come get the next play, Ashley. They want
My
to get
bet the next play. There we go.
all right.
And make
Let's
sure y'all get the next play to help the next person and donate to the cause.
amen, amen, and amen. And let me get y'all a little hype before we get on out of here. Ashley, you don't even got to talk because Mr. First of all going to go ahead and tell it all.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mr. First of All himself. That's right. And welcome inside the huddle, a mom's locker room of legacy. You want to know the next play? You need to tune in on Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. So like it, share it, stay connected, subscribe. Our website is www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Hey, we're raising champions and building legacies. Let's go.
God bless you, you, and you. We love you here at Moms, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Have the most amazing weekend, safe weekend. We're praying for you. Pray for us as we pray for you. We'll see you guys back here on next Monday, God's willing. That's right, baby. Tell them. Tell them you got something to say too. Don't take she got something to say.
I was trying to let y'all.
Hey. Oh, it was so juicy.
She's so cute.
And now she want to be quiet. All I know is she was making. Say
Hey,
good night.
good
And when
night.
she wants it, she wants the attention, so she got it.
Yeah. She said, now y'all better hear me. Y'all see me now. Y'all see me
Okay,
Uh,
now.
exactly.
Okay. All right, y'all. God bless you all. We'll see you guys next Monday, God's willing, and we'll see you each other on Sunday, guys. All right. Have a good one. Love you all. Bye-bye.